Hi, Dr. Larson here. Just making a quick video to answer some questions that I've gotten about some of the settings in AcuGraph. Now, these settings are under the Settings tab, or the Settings area, the Measurement tab, and as you can see, there's three categories: Source, Jingwell, and Rodaraku. So each time you measure, or each way you measure, is treated differently. You can have settings for source point measurements that are entirely different for Jingwell point measurements, and different again for Rodaraku. But they all mean the same thing. So let's walk through what they mean. First of all, measurement order, pairs versus anatomical. In pairs, you will measure the same point on both sides. So under source, you would go lung 9 on the left, lung 9 on the right. Pericardium 7 on the left, pericardium 7 on the right, and so on. That would be the pairs. Anatomical means you would do the entire left hand. Lung, pericardium, heart, small intestine, triple warmer, large intestine. You would do all 6 on one hand, and then all 6 on the other hand, and then one foot in the other foot. So that's the order. It's simply the order in which you measure the points. Calculations area, proportional or fixed. Proportional calculations allows the computer to automatically adjust the graph calculations based on the readings, the average. What that means is if you overall have high readings, let's say your average is 150, you're going to calculate things differently because you're using bigger numbers than if you had very low readings, say an average of 50. Proportional is normally where you want it. You would only go to fixed if you had a really good reason that you wanted to force it to use fixed calculations, because one size doesn't fit all. Under fixed calculations, we'll go ahead and jump down here to the fixed calculations. They are down here under limits. And if I put it on fixed like this, then these limits, these range and split numbers will then be used. So if I put it on fixed, the normal range being 15 above and below the mean, and I can change that number. And 15 above and below, in other words, giving a normal range of 30, is probably pretty reasonable when your average is around 100. But when your average is really low, like if your average is only 20, a normal range of 15 above and below that is ridiculously large. That's why you want proportional. Likewise, a split value is simply how much difference you have to have between the left side and the right side before it calls it a split. Normally, you don't want a fixed number for that. Normally, you want it proportional to the total. So 25 might be an adequate difference when the measurements are around 100, but when the measurements are around 20, then a 25 difference is impossible. That's why you probably want proportional. So that's what calculations and limits does. Retest splits, well, that's obviously when you finish a graph or finish an exam. If there are splits discovered, you can choose to have it never ask you to remeasure the low side, or ask you if you want to, or just always tell you to go remeasure the following points. And it will remeasure the low side of the split, whichever one was lowest, just to make sure you didn't miss the point. If you miss the point, you'll have an artificially low reading on one side, and that's why you would remeasure. If you measure again on that side and it's still low, then that's a true split. If you remeasure and it comes up, it means that you likely just had a bad measurement the first time, and remeasuring is the right way to go. I like mine set for always. Increment, this is how it counts. Meaning, if it's measuring and it counts by 5s, then your measurements can be 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. If it counts by 2s, then your measurements can be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Counts by 1s, obviously, you have a very granular measurement. You can have 98, 99, 100, 101, just like that. Some people prefer a larger increment because they get less variability. Some people prefer a tighter increment. I usually leave mine on 1 or maybe 2. So that's what the increment is. And then timed measurement method, you can turn off the timer and then it will just run. The measurement will just run until you pull the probe away from the skin. Once you take the probe off the point, it'll stop measuring and capture. Timed, you can set a timer and it will automatically capture it at that preset time. When you're first learning to graph and you need a little more time to locate the point and work on your technique, I recommend that number be a lot higher. And when you have kind of mastered the technique and you're a little more of an expert at it, 3 seconds is about the sweet spot. Gives you adequate time to locate the point, to get it stabilized, and to capture the reading. And so I like to keep mine at 3 seconds on the timer. So that's what these settings do under how your measurements are performed. Default skin tone just shows what color skin tone is displayed in the AcuGraph exam photos. So during the exam, you'll have dark or light skin displayed. You'll also have male or female hands displayed depending on the gender that you selected for the patient. Treatment order, that's the order in which it displays the points when you hit begin treatment. It will either show them in terms of anatomy, starting at the top and moving to the bottom, so to speak, or in terms of priority, meaning the biggest imbalance is treated first. So probably more than you ever wanted to know about how all the measurements work. I'll just close by saying AcuGraph comes with default measurements set up the way that most people like them. And so if you never touch this screen and never change anything on it, you are probably getting great results with your AcuGraph and there's nothing to worry about. But for the curious or the inquisitive or the people who love to experiment, now you know what they all do. Thanks.